It's time now for the press review. Solange Mougin is here with us for that. Solange, you are starting with our top story, focusing entirely on the indictment of Donald Trump. How's it being treated by the US press?
Well, this is a milestone in U.S. history, and if we take a look at the Washington Post this morning, we can see that in their coverage. We can glean how big this is, that Trump's been indicted on many, that he's been investigated on many fronts for 50 years, that he was caught off guard by the indictment, and, of course, the milestone that he is the first ex-president to be charged with a crime. Now, we're also seeing similar coverage from the New York Times. This is its front page today, and the Times is covering this as well from a number of different angles. It's saying that the fact that this will not bar him from running for re-election. It's also covering what will happen next if there'll be handcuffs and mugshots. Now, I'd like to focus on two pieces within the New York Times, though. The first is their news analysis piece. It says that this sets a new precedent. Quote, a new taboo has been broken, the Times says, and it asks many yet unanswered questions. Will this tear the country apart? Will it be seen abroad as sort of a victor's justice, namely in nations where former leaders are jailed? Will it be a moment of reckoning, the Times asks. And in its editorial opinion today, the New York Times writes that Trump's, quote, pattern of disregard for the law has led to this. It is a solemn task, it says, but doing nothing, the paper writes, would have made the stakes to U.S. democracy even higher. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal, well, it's focusing on how the evidence of a cover-up, of a possible alleged cover-up, will likely be the focus of the trial, which is not expected anytime soon. As for what comes next, The Guardian has a good breakdown of the whole story, and it also explains that this could be the first of many judicial indictments.
How is the man of the moment reacting to the fact that he's set to be charged, Solange?
Well, as Business Insider tells us, Trump has raged on social media about the indictment, and he's also spelled the word indictment wrong. As we see on his post on his social media site, Truth Social, he wrote, "These thugs and radical left monsters have just indicated," not indicted, who knows if that's autocorrect or not. Politico, for example, is widely covering the fact that a number of Republicans have moved already to support him or to run to his corner, even before knowing the exact charges in the indictment. So that sort of gives you a hint of what Republicans are doing.
How's the story being covered by the conservative press?
Well, as we see on the cover of Epoch Times, the conservative paper, it is focusing on the fact that Mike Pence, Trump's former vice president, says that the indictment is an outrage and it sends a terrible message about the U.S. justice system. Meanwhile, the National Review, also conservative, it is covering Trump's response, saying that this will, quote, backfire massively. In this same vein, the Washington Examiner wonders if Trump can turn this into re-election gold. It notes that many Republican voters feel that the U.S. justice system has been weaponized against him. Now, turning to the New York Post, owned by Rupert Murdoch, it is focusing on the Manhattan District Attorney, saying he has a bad case of bias. Sticking with the Post, it's also covering the fact that Trump, his conservative rival Ron DeSantis, has joined other Republican leaders in support of the former president, saying he would not, as governor of Florida, extradite Trump if it ever came to that.
And how's all of this being treated on social media, Solange?
Well, there are a lot of fun tweets out there, and the celebrity ones are getting a lot of attention. If we look at Fox News, for example, it says the tweets are a mixed bag of reactions, from officially a joke to happy Trumpmas. And if we look at on the pro-Trump front, if we look at a tweet from Trump's son, Don Jr. said on his video podcast that this stuff would make Mao, Stalin, Pol Pot blush. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, the writer Stephen King wrote, "Wise up, Republicans, don't believe the lies. This isn't political. Donald Trump did this to himself. he betrayed your trust. Moving on, The Daily Show kind of goes below the belt, saying, hard to believe that Donald Trump having sex resulted in something worse for him than Don Jr. Now, The Guardian is also covering how Twitter went basically nuts, it says, about the back-to-back judicial announcements on Trump and Gwyneth Paltrow's trial. A former speechwriter wrote in this regard, it's in this article, Trump indicted, Gwyneth innocent, God bless this country. Now, sticking with another political commentator, this comes from this is an image of Lucille Ball as Melania spilling champagne as she learns the news of Trump's indictment. Now, as a former New Yorker, my favorite of the day so far is this one from the country singer, the American country singer, Start Spreading the News.
I always thought that was a quotation from Frank Sinatra, Solange. Thank you so much for that, for our press review. That was Solange Mujan.